You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode. With us today is a passionate angel investor who uses his experience in business to extend opportunities to causes he believes will create a better future and fuel success for others to achieve their business dreams. Mr. Bernard Chong, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thank you for having me, Chris.
Absolutely. So glad to have you here. I'd love to dive deep into what your past experience has been and how that led you into what you're doing today.
Well, it all started when I was young and grew up from a family business from shoe factory. And we have a brand called World Balance in Manila. And I was trained to see the manufacturing side, the selling side for in stores, and the sales practice also, how to sell it all over the country. And that led me to a good foundation of business. As from there, I studied electronics communication engineering in De La Salle University. And it teach me how to look at problems, how to dissect them, and how to solve them part by part until you get the whole problem solved. And putting that to with the business sense and sales, I become the person that I am. From there, I invest in people, in companies. If they have problems, I kind of use my engineering foundation, how I learned, and I kind of like tell them, this is how you do it. This is the first principle solution works. You look at everything, you take note of all the factors, then you solve the problem.
I love that.
Then I teach them to all people or organizations that I encounter that needs help.
Nice. That's excellent. So you took this from it's shoes that went from retail. It was global. So that taught you a lot about what you know within business. And then in addition, what I love that you mentioned is who you invest in. First, you mentioned the people. It's
Yes.
really the people behind the company. A company can make a lot of money. It can have a good mission, but I think it's important to have the right people in that company. You invest more in the people just as much as the company, right?
Yes, actually, the people, because any organization that's successful, they are run by people. So it's always the people. It's never the company.
Excellent. That's wonderful. So you have a lot of experience with problem solving, and a lot of us business owners, we encounter problems every single day. What are some good pieces of advice on how you try to break down a problem? How do you look at solving the problem? How do you fix it?
Well, there's a theory called first principle theory where you look at everything. For example, when you see an apple tree, you think that it's just the seed and the soil and the sunlight and then the apple tree, right? But actually, what kind of soil, what organisms in the soil, what's the weather of the environment, what's the sunlight and everything. So you look at the complete factors for a problem. So that's how I use it to solve problem. I must consider every factor and everything, and I put it in like in an equation or in a scenario, and then I imagine that it's being run. So I would know where the shortfall is or what to improve or if it's going to run smooth. I mean, sometimes you miss a thing or two, but at least you try to complete it. So that's the best way to solve problem.
Oh, I love that. And that sounds very thorough because again, it's those front facing problems where we only see, the soil, the seed and the sunlight, like you said, but it goes much deeper. There's many other factors that go into that. You kind of remind me of someone I would see on Shark Tank. You are one of the investors. You want to find businesses to invest in, but you pick nice causes. What are some businesses or people that you've supported that had a great cause?
Wait, I'd like to add something before I answer that, okay?
Absolutely.
Also, aside from solving all the problem, thinking of all the factors in solving the problem, you can look people who have done it. And that's very important. That's why I have to include this in before I answer your another question, because there are experienced people and veteran people who are older than us. And if you could just talk to them, I'm sure they're willing to share also their journey and make connection with them. And these people will tell you how to do it properly because they've done it and you will learn to. And that's also another important thing because you can find all the factors of the problem, but knowing someone who have done it, it makes your life easier and you're more guided. Okay. Now, to go back to your question, second question was, what are the business I backed up because of has a good values. Is that what your question again?
Oh,
So,
yeah, exactly.
so I back up businesses that has good value I think are platform businesses because they impact more user population. So you could do good or impact them in a larger scale compared to a brick and mortar business. But only to answer that question, all business I back up are from people I trust or people I put trust into. And then I see myself growing with these people, growing with them. So I back them up. And as they do their journey, I do their journey with them too. So that's it. I don't fancy particular business as long as a person, that's his goal, that's his motivation, that's his a dream, and I see it that he's dedicated to that dream. I often back them to support them.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's not so much what type of business that they're in, it's that you want to see that the person is driven, they're motivated, because there are a lot of business owners who unfortunately they don't want to put in the hard work, they don't put in the effort, and they can be either successful or they fail. But you see these other people who put in a lot of work and you want to make sure that you support them. I think for myself, I've only gotten to where I am today because other people supported me in some way or another. That was advice, tips and tricks, maybe financial backing. All of those factors really help support and bring someone up. So I just love that you offer that to other business owners.
Yeah, it's really hard to go long and be big if you're alone. I mean, you can be good, but being with someone makes life easier. Also, I'm in a unique position that I'm not a VC, so I earn my own income from different revenue streams. So I can decide where to invest my resource. With VCs, I just like to share. Some VCs have particular, guidelines, like they have to invest in construction. So you have VC for construction. You have VC, for example, for finance institutions. So, and VC for healthcare, VC for, for platform businesses. So me, I'm not constrained to particular stuff because I invest with my resources or with the income that I generate. So it makes me in a unique position to put my resource into any person I seem that I want to do the journey with.
Yeah, I love that. That allows you to be flexible with who you want to invest in. You're taking all the risk. And so that means you could potentially receive all of the benefits from that as well. But there's a big risk associated with that.
Yeah, but risk is always there. But there are guidelines also with experience that you can mitigate or you can lessen the risk. Things
Mhm.
like you have to know the MVP, you have to know the road, the map, and if they have enough finance resources to complete it, and you add another 30-20% of it, make sure they have 1 year, they can operate for 1 year without needing any money, so forth and so forth. Things like when I invest in a production company, they have experiences, they have directors who have done previous projects that were successful. So there are many variables and details that I consider. But yes, I'm not constrained and I can decide also to see that this project has a high success rate.
I'm sure with your experience, you've seen businesses with a high success rate and ones that may have failed or just didn't work out. Were there any examples of maybe a business type you won't invest in again, or maybe someone seemed like someone as a great business owner, but then you realize later it wasn't a good investment?
Oh, actually, it's not really a business type because, like I said, every journey, every business can be successful if you put your heart into it. So, the grass is green where you water it, right? So, any business can be green if they put their work into it. But there are people who are not aligned with what I believe in. And sometimes they don't communicate with me. And these people, I found that I made mistake. So I was wrong. Life goes on. But again, you're not going to put so much effort in it, especially if you're not aligned. So that's what I do. So when I build a relationship with an organization or with someone, at first you give them 100 and you give them 100% that you're aligned, you're talking and everything. And it may be good at the start. somewhere after 1 year, 2 years, you're not aligned anymore. And then there's not much you can do. You cannot force it. So you just have to detach and move on. And hopefully, someday you can talk together again. And maybe I'm not shutting doors, but for now, I just can't deal with people I'm not aligned with and who's not talking to me, or we're not have the same values or principles. I mean, there are partners for everything. Like what I mean is there are certain group of people that's aligned with me and I can partner with them, but there would be certain kind of people that will not be aligned with me. So I can speak for anyone. So you can't be aligned with everyone.
Right. Absolutely. No, that's important. The communication piece that you mentioned and just having the same values, you have to be aligned with partners within business to ensure that, all right, we have the same goals, we have the same outcomes that we're hoping to achieve. And that can be important for any business relationship. Otherwise, things can go south pretty quickly. But with business ownership, a lot of people just see the successes we have and not the failures. But those failures where things didn't work out, we learn valuable lessons from them. And that's so important. So you have this new business, this new foundation called BrenSEED. Can you tell me more about what BrenSEED is and how it helps people, what it's all about?
Well, it's an education foundation, and it's about helping people who needs to be put to school to be educated. And I see like education is a powerful tool to influence someone, to uplift their life, to teach them in a good path and prevent them from having harder time or prevent them from having in a wrong path. And I was blessed that I could support not much, but at least I could support people to have education. And I feel like I must do what I can do. Even though it's little thing, I still do it. So I believe that have a big impact in the future. So I'm supporting the education.
Hey,
That's why I did it.
we appreciate that so much. I know you think that, your contribution is small, but honestly, any sort of contribution to make the future better for any of us, we greatly appreciate it. I know for me, I got an associate's degree in marketing only because I was given an opportunity where I would qualify for the tuition to get paid. There was a foundation that allowed me to go to school and get a higher education, which definitely put me down a much better path. So I appreciate that you're humble, saying that it's only a little, but you help everyone so much. Greatly appreciated. It's so important.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So your background goes big into the technologies, like engineering piece of it. How does that help you become a better investor or business owner, having that type of experience to back you up?
Well, with engineering, and if you're updated to your degree, I kind of know what's possible and what's not yet possible. So there are moments where, for example, I'm going to go to a financial platform and it's like, for example, a blockchain. And I would know that, oh, this blockchain, the maximum threshold or this is only this number of transactions per second. So I would know that it cannot be global yet. This is the limit. So if I understand the physics of it, and I know that it's the future of how it should work is not yet invented, then I kind of know, right, it's not yet there. So that helps a lot too if you understand that part of production or engineering stuff. And there's so many things, but those are the important stuff because you kind of know if that's viable or not viable or doable. And of course we can dream, but it has to be actually can be available or can be assembled or can be executed.
Yes, absolutely. So in your bio here, I see that you like to promote yourself as just being a lifelong student. I think that's important and an avid reader. What are some of the best books that you think could help other business owners or any good resources out there that you would recommend to them?
Well, there are many books that are good. Depends on the niche that you need. I mean, psychology, marketing, management books. I think the people skill book are most important first. So how to win friends and influence people. Also some strategy books about people also about it's the who, not how book. And it tells you that if somebody done it, then get that person to do it and then stay out of their way because they've done it. So I think people skills book are more important. And actually we deal with people a lot when you work, you deal with people. When you do sales, you deal with people. But marketing, you deal with people. So you can't get away with it unless you're assembling something and it's an engineering job. Then you have to have a theoretical book. But generally, business, entrepreneur, management, you deal with people. So book regarding people skills, people psychology is really important.
Oh, that's great. I have a couple new books that you mentioned that are now going to be on my list because I love the whole aspect of relationship building and strategy and how communication plays a role within that. Business is done with relationships. I don't think a lot of people realize that too much. They may be more introverted. They keep to themselves. They don't like to, go out and be sociable, building relationships. But it's really important for, the outward relationships and inward relationships when you're working with a team, when you're working with your customers and your clients, those can play a very important role with each other. Are there relationships that, like mentors out there that really kind of brought you to the next level after you started, watching these videos or working with this person, this really leveled up your business game?
Well, I I just trying to start my business here in USA. And most of my time when I was in Manila, when I doing business there, I have lots of older people who guide me back there. But in here, I'm starting. I haven't found older mentors yet, but hopefully I meet some. But what I now bring with me is the experience I have is from 21 years old for 20 years of experience. And I always look back and reflect on how I did it and kind of recall. So that's my thing now as a moment. But I'm looking forward to meet successful people here also and have to, ask them a thing or two on how financial stuff also is being done in USA.
Yeah. Well, you're doing everything right. You're meeting with other people. You're coming out to podcasts to meet other people. We have a list of guests that we've interviewed already, and feel free to check that out so you can follow them and see if you're aligned with their values, because there could be some shared knowledge you can share together. And that's what I love about the business community, USA, around the world, just that business owners, no matter their level of success, they're willing to share information and talk with each other because that just helps build each other up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and the person who knows the information, it's a validation also when he share and he knows also, or they share and they see the result of it because they shared was become successful. They feel happy too. I mean, what good is information and if you don't share it, and then it's as if you don't know the information.
Yes.
So normally people who knows them, they're willing to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I also see from all of your investments, you've done real estate. You've even invested into some animation brands as well. I guess, how do you do it all? I mean, do you have a big team behind you that helps you with all this? Because you're running what, a 10, 20, 500 businesses now?
No, not 500 yet. Anyway, but it's more than 20. But it's really not me. It's the people I planted with. So I planted with many people. And these people are become my friends, also become my business partner. And we talk. So these are majority their businesses. I'm like minority shareholder, but I learn a lot from these businesses. And what I learn, I'm able to share to younger generation or to people who needs the information to just to help them. So I guess I'm being blessed to able to do this path. Not everyone was blessed to do certain stuff that they like. And I'm just making sure that I'm putting the resources to good use to other people to help them and to learn from them and to teach also. So I think I got my life path set already.
I love that. When it comes to building a team, what are some positions or responsibilities that the business owner should be looking to hire for first? I'm sure it depends on the business and your industry, but are there certain positions that are going to help the business owner get to that next level?
Okay. In my experience, building a team, there you have to able to dissect what you need. So just a basic. So if you're building a team, you need a good lawyer because everything has to be legal. So you want at least a good lawyer for your business, a good sales. Okay. Because everything runs through sales also. A good admin and HR. Because internally, you have to do your own people staff too, how they're aligned, what, and a good product. So that's product or manufacturing guy. And those are basic stuff that if you have, those are the minimum people that you should have to able to start a business. And they have to be really good because they're going to be really good and really aligned because their journey is your journey, your business journey too. Some some people do it all like they're the accounting, they're the law, and they're the manufacturing. Yeah, I understand at the beginning, but it cannot be like that. I mean, to be able to grow, you have to have someone who's dedicated to certain tasks. So it has to be more focused on what they're doing, and you can progress more. And eventually, when you do that, you seek partnership now, you seek collaboration, and you become big. So, yeah, so that's important.
Absolutely. Now, as a business owner myself, and maybe other business owners listening, what can we do in our business to make it more attractive to an investor like yourself or anyone else? What foundation do we need to have within a business where you would come in and say, I like this business, I'd like to invest? I know you mentioned the values and everything, but is there certain revenue? Is there anything we could do with our business to make it more attractive to investors?
Well, again, that depends on the source of funds. If you're asking for funds, the sort of funds, what they're looking at. Normally, they have checklists. If they're structured, if they're like group of money that's being pulled together, they have a guideline to say, this is the guideline. So we won't be blamed if we put the money wrong and everything because they pass all the guideline. But with me, I just want to see the person able to communicate and we have the same values and we have the grit to see that if there's a wall, how to get past through it, thinking outside the box. One thing I often do when I'm about to, before I put money, is I test the person for their patience. I would ask easy questions, but I would ask many easy questions. I would test their patience. Sometimes I would ask dumb questions to see how they react, deliberately, and to just to see how the person is, And then from there, I will get the baseline, and I would decide if I put money or not put money.
I think that's so smart because you do have to test people when they're out of their element or they least expect it, because then their true personality and problem solving skills are going to come out and you'll be able to decide, okay, is this someone I want to work with or are they not able to handle obstacles well?
Yeah, because doing the business, they will be tested for sure. Your deliberate tests, they're just starters, they're not the main test. And if they couldn't pass it, they wouldn't pass the real test, which is growing their business, dealing with their employees, dealing with their own blindsided problem, that they didn't know. And this requires character and wisdom and grit. So your test, if they don't pass it, they wouldn't pass the real business test.
No, absolutely. Have you ever had a situation where maybe it was you weren't aligned with the business maybe a few years ago, but they reached out again and said, hey, we've made improvements, we've changed our values? Or are you kind of like a one and done? If you don't have the values, we can't work together ever again?
Actually, I never had an experience where I cut it and they rework with me. So I guess communication is different. I mean, there are times that they're at fault and then I still continue communication, but the heart is not there anymore. The love is not there anymore. It's not as genuine as when you started, like real all right. So that's
Absolutely.
just my experience with myself because world is big. There's a lot of people. Your time is limited. Resources limited, and normally people who do fault at you. If that's okay, there are two kinds of fault. Okay, faults that are deliberately fault that are breaking the camaraderie or relationship that deliberately didn't listen to you. That's different. And there's also fault that was meant in the journey and nobody wanted it, but it was there. And now they're wiser. You're wiser too. You both had the same thought of this is the right thing to do, but both of you were wrong, but you did it together. You understand? So those kinds of mistakes, I understand that that's our journey together. And I'm willing to put up the second, the third, the fourth chance as long as we're doing it together. All right. But when you break apart and you do your own thing and you didn't listen. And if it's went well, it's all right. But if it doesn't went well and come back to me, I feel like this stuff, I couldn't find the second time to help them and everything, only because there's a lot of things that gets my attention. And I feel like if this is the case, then it's not worth my time.
No, it's not. And, some people might think, oh, that's mean, but honestly, that's just the truth of the matter. If a business owner can't, be passionate enough to work on themselves, consider their communication and just the business as a whole. Again, if it's not aligned with you, it's just not a valuable use of your time because you're out here doing great things. You want to help as many people as possible, but there should be some level of, not entitlement, but that they deserved it. They earned it. They worked for it. And I'm sure those are the type of people you want to invest in, the ones who are passionate, the ones who can do things right.
Yeah, I have to reiterate, okay? They're good people also. It's just that the alignment isn't there. And I feel like having to work with them again, but we're not aligned, will just be a waste of both of our time. And I just don't want to waste their time too. And I don't want to waste my time also. But they're good people also. But if it's not aligned, there's nothing you can do.
Absolutely. No, but that's smart of you to recognize that and realize that and just say, hey, it's better that we move forward from here. I have another question. I was curious, what is the biggest obstacle that you faced as an entrepreneur and how did you overcome it?
Well, the biggest obstacle as an entrepreneur are, for me, not know the stuff that I do not know. All right. Normally, there's so many stuff that you can only know, but there's so many stuff we do not know. Our business civilization is probably more than 500 years, 300 years doing business, and there's legal stuff always. This is the law. This is how it's supposed to be done. This is the structure. And you're just like 20 years experience of whatever policies there are in certain governments and in certain stuff. And when you think you know it all, and then there's suddenly a piece of law or a piece of some information that you haven't heard and that will affect you, those are the challenges. So the challenges are not the things, because things you know that it's there and you will know how to solve it, or at least how to deal with it. You will know that it's coming there. The things that surprise you, that terrifies people normally and blindside people, are the things you do not know. These are the surprises, the things that, "Oh, I didn't know that," and the, something like those. So those are the important stuff that will happen for sure to any businessman, because you're starting, and whatever you are, there's so much things at work that you don't know. So it's important for you react to those things you don't know and how to solve them calmly, how to solve them properly, how to not panic, how to not overthink, how to ask people who specialize in these things. Then you move forward. But it's also important for you to understand that if this comes out, you do not know it, you got to pause, take it slow, because when you go forward with the things you do not know, it might be a disaster. So you must say, all right, let's solve this. Things you do not know, you solve it at once. You figure it out at once, because small thing can lead to big problems.
Yes, absolutely. Bernard, everything you said was 1000% true. We as business owners, entrepreneurs, we're always faced with things that we don't know, but it's up to us to, like you said, pause, take that moment, figure out how do we solve this problem? How do I learn it? And then you can move forward. That's all what business is. We're doing a lot of things we know, and then we find things that we don't know yet, but we have to lean on resources, people who are experts in their field to be able to take us to that next level. And it can be humbling to say, hey, we don't know something, but you're willing to learn. And that's what I love about you saying that you're a lifelong student. We're never going to be done learning, right?
Yeah. And I've talked to older people too, and in my home country. And I said to me, you're 30, you're 40, you know all this. I'm 50, 60, 70, and I'm still learning. And 70, it would be new to you. So how old are you, Chris?
I am 34.
All right, you're 34. When you're 50, you're new at 50. You understand? It's not like you were 50 at 34. You're 50 at your age 50. And at age 50, all these things you will experience in your age 50 at life will be new to you. There would be.
Yes.
So everything's like never ending lessons and journey.
Yeah, absolutely. no matter the things that we don't know, they can make us feel uncomfortable when we're trying something new, learning something new. It creates this level of uncomfort with us, but it's up to us to break out of that box and say, I'm just going to follow through it and look for the next challenge, look for the next opportunity, keep going.
Yeah, it's really important also that you have sets of group of friends or sets of colleagues that you can rely to, that their wisdom, is solid. That's very important.
Yes, absolutely. There are so many great entrepreneurs out there that have experienced different things where they can share that insight with us. And it just makes us better as entrepreneurs. Now you have this circle of colleagues and friends that you can bounce ideas off of each other, and it just helps lift everyone up.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Now, Bernard, where can people find out more about you, links or websites? How can people get in touch with you?
In the BrenSEED Foundation, they can reach out to me there. Or if you know Crystal, you can reach out to Crystal and we will make sure that every question or everything that concerns you will get back to you.
Perfect. That sounds excellent. And we'll also provide links available in the description. So that way people can reach out to the foundation and Crystal to start the conversation, kind of see where things go. But we appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your wealth of knowledge and experience with us. We appreciate it. Congratulations on your new business ventures. This is so exciting. I'm looking forward to all the success that you'll be going into.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks again for listening to this episode.